The fourth pillar of awakening is derived from the second one, which is non-attachment. And originally, I only had three pillars of awakening, which I called Holy Trinity. But I realized that even though the fourth pillar is derived from the second one, non-attachment, it is so important for you to on your spiritual journey towards spiritual awakening, and then after you reach spiritual awakening, to always apply to your life, that I decided to give it a pillar. And so the fourth pillar of awakening is having no expectations. So let me just sum it up. The first pillar is unconditional love. The second one is non-attachment. The third one is gratitude. And then the fourth is having no expectations. You have no expectations because, first of all, as I described in the third pillar and the second pillar, you have to always stay in the now. When you live in the now, you actually live your real life, because the past is the past and should, stand there as memories and, lessons. The past should be maybe a teacher, not maybe, should be a teacher, but you should not dwell on the past. The future is there to, have some plans and projects, it's true, but don't live in the future, because you will never be able to be there, because the minute the future arrives to you, it becomes the present. So stay in the now always. And when you stay in the now, it is an impossibility to have any kind of expectations, because expectations reside in the future. When you have expectations out of events or things that you are doing in life, but especially with people, you expect them to say or do or think things that you want them to say, do, or think. But then again, that goes back to the first pillar, that is unconditional love. When you think like that, then you want to control them. And every single time you want to control someone, you are not acting out of unconditional love, but you are following the voice of your ego that is trying to control them, to make you feel better about yourself. And when you have no expectations and you let go of any desired outcome, dare I say, then you prevent yourself from ever being disappointed in anyone or anything. Having expectations is a guaranteed way for you to be disappointed, because anything and everything that we expect is impossible to come into reality the way we expected them. There will always be a little change, or there will always be something that isn't quite like what you thought they would be, your expectations. And so you condemn yourself to eternal disappointment. And eternal disappointment is not unconditional love for yourself. Therefore, it prevents you from embarking or going further along your spiritual journey towards spiritual awakening, in order for you to live the best life you can possibly live in this 3D world of ours while you are incarnated in your body. And when you have expectations, you also have stress in your life, because you expect this situation to come out like this. And when it doesn't, then you are stressed, you are disappointed. And I don't remember who said this, but stress is resistance to existence. I like that, because every single time you resist something, it is because you want to control it. And if you let go of control and you just live basking in unconditional love, non-attachment, gratitude, and having no expectations, then everything that is happening in your life is indeed happening for you, because there is always a lesson for you to root out, learn, and apply to your life in order for you to become the best version of yourself. But every single time you have expectations, and especially on people, you put those expectations on their shoulders. And again, that is a form of control. And the minute you want to control someone, you don't love them unconditionally. Same goes with having plans. Having plans is good. You know, you have plans for the future. And then you do what you have to do with following what, you know, your ego tells you to do. Meaning, as I said before, that your ego is needed in this 3D world of ours because your ego is the tool that helps you navigate it. So whenever you want to do something, it is because your ego is telling you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then, as I said countless times, the minute it says that, then it will tell you, but you won't be able to do it. So that is when the ego should be paid no mind to. Like, you do not listen to your ego when it tries to discourage you to do anything. But your ego will your ego will be there to help you navigate this world. Therefore, when you want to achieve something, it is because you are following the voice of your ego telling you that if this existed, then it would be nice. Oh, I'm going to create it. Or if I achieve this in my life, it would be nice. So I'm going to do everything I can to achieve it. Then you have inspired action. Right? You do what you want to do in order to achieve that, and you have inspired actions, and you have a plan. You say, yeah, I'm going to do this because let's try and make it this way or that way or whatever. And again, that is great. That is what you should have when you try to achieve anything in life. But don't have expectations. I know it's really hard to separate projects, plans from expectations. To some people, they are almost synonymous, right? They're not. They're not. Because when you have a plan, you know the destination. That is where you want to go. But having expectations is you know where you want to go and you want the destination to be exactly like you want it to be. It's almost like, you know, when you take a trip. Your plan is to go from Boston to Paris, right? So you get on the plane and in your head you say, okay, my destination is Paris. So you will get there, you know. After 6 or 7 hours, then you will get there. Having expectations would be, I'm going to be in Paris and people are going to be like this, and I'm going to eat this kind of food, and it's going to be sunny all day, and everything will be clean and everything. And then you arrive in Paris and you realize that the streets are not that clean, you realize that the people are not so friendly, and you realize that sometimes the food tastes like, you know what? And you are disappointed. And by that disappointment, you fail to see all the things that actually are pretty nice in Paris. Because you are so disappointed that all your expectations were not met. And so you are, when you have expectations, shooting yourself in the foot, even before anything happened, which is sheer lunacy. Not that you are lunatic, but your ego is a lunatic, because it is your ego that is telling you that it's going to be like this, it's going to be like that, and this person's going to do this, and this person's going to say that. Those are expectations. Never have them, because it is a guaranteed way for you to be disappointed, and when you are disappointed, it is negativity, and negativity is not conducive to going within. Negativity feeds itself, basically. So the more disappointed you are, the more your ego will give you reasons to be even more disappointed, because it will give you even more examples of where your expectations were not met. So it is something that I understood when I decided to let go of expectations in life. I also embraced two things that allowed me to fully embracing having no expectations. I'm a little wordy today, I'm sorry guys. I realized that when I have no expectations, I surrender trust. I have complete trust in the higher self, which at the end of the day is me, so I have complete trust in me, and in divine timing. Divine timing brings things, people, and circumstances into your life when they are supposed to show up in your life. And that is orchestrated by the higher self, which is yourself, that knows exactly what you need when you need them. And so having expectations would be a direct contradiction to that. Having expectations would be, no, the higher self and divine timing don't know what's best for me, but my ego does. So my ego wants this to be like this, and if it's not like this, then I'm disappointed. What is happening? What is going on? Well, what is happening is you decided to put your trust in your ego, and your ego has not your best interest at heart. Your ego wants to stay the master and you the slave forever, so that you will be prevented from remembering who you are, and that is the higher self. And that the ego is just a tool, and should always be a tool. So I think that the minute you completely surrender trust, you surrender to the higher self, you surrender to divine timing, you trust divine timing, you trust the higher self, you know for a fact that divine timing and the higher self have your back, then you completely let go of expectations, because you know that whatever happens to you is a lesson, is for you to be the best version of yourself you can possibly be.